In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, be advised that notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board in Town Hall and mailing to the officially designated newspapers a list of the meeting dates annually, indicating that this meeting would take place on Wednesday, August 4th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. via the Zoom virtual platform. Due to the COVID-19 virus and quarantines imposed under executive orders by Governor Philip D. Murphy, Millburn Town Hall is closed to the public for the purposes of planning board meetings. The meeting notice contained information necessary for members of the public to attend the meeting through the Zoom platform, both by audio and/or video means. The public will have the same opportunity to participate at the appropriate time virtually, just as if they were attending an in-person meeting. This notice was posted on the Millburn Township website, Town Hall Bulletin Board, and Millburn Town Hall front door. Roll call.
Daniel Baer.
Here.
Gaston Halbert.
Here.
Jorge Mastro Pietro.
Here.
Mark Matzel.
Here.
Maggie Miggins.
Here.
David Morrow.
Here.
Srini Vijay.
Here.
Chairwoman Beth Zoll.
Here. Thank you. So our first order of business tonight is approval of minutes. We have 3 sets of meeting minutes that we will go through. The earliest and first is May 5th of 2021. So first I'll ask if anybody, I don't know, Eileen, if you received comments on any of the meeting minute notes?
I did not.
Okay, great. So there's nothing else to incorporate, but did anybody regarding the May 5th notes? Mark, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, Madam Chair. I would just like to add just one statement, which is Mark Matzel stated that the applicant was largely unresponsive to several questions asked by community members, board members, and the Environmental Commission related to stormwater management, riparian, and sustainability issues. And the reason I want to add that is because that's pretty much why I voted against the proposal. And I think those were important.
And I think that's fine. If you would be able to just write that sentence, can you send that sentence to Eileen for her incorporation? Or Eileen, is that what you prefer?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm fine for the record to state as you're indicating your concern. So long as I think, and perhaps Ed, you would agree, we just keep it neutral in terms of the tone, just not accusatory, as it were. Mm-hmm. But just a statement of you felt that, or not I felt, but questions were unanswered. That's fine. Okay, any other corrections or revisions proposed on the May 5th meetings?
I think there was one thing that I had requested. I think a couple of others had to as well, Chairman. I think we had requested that the developer be sensitive to the concerns regarding the Hartshorn Arboretum when they went through and reviewed use of landscape and also the installation of lighting with regard to the application.
I think a lot of that, not that I didn't choose to put it in, I think a lot of that really is probably captured more in the resolution.
Okay.
Minutes. I don't know, I could be wrong then, you know.
No, I think you're right.
Okay, so, but Dave, I think let's not lose those comments, but I think you're right. The place we want to make sure where it's, captured and sort of beholden to is in the resolution, as opposed to, the minutes, which are a reflection of what happened, but yeah. But thank you for bringing that up. Eileen, on line 162, which is page 4, just turnpike is spelled incorrectly. Instead of a P, it's an O.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's a minor correction. Any other issues with the minutes? Okay, anyone want to make a motion to approve the minutes given the change from Mark and myself discussed tonight?
So moved.
Thank you. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone oppose?
Abstain.
And Ms. Miggins abstains. Yes. Because you were recused. Thank you. Okay, minutes from May 5th, 2021. Approved. Our next set of minutes is May 19th, 2021. We also have that set and I have it open. Anybody have any comments or revisions to the May 19th minutes? And this is that was just a discussion regarding the zoning ordinances that we had. I think it was a pretty brief set of minutes. Okay, anybody make a motion to approve the minutes of May 19th? Mark, I see you waving. You're making the motion. If you could do it verbally, just for the record, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Gaston. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. And I don't think there should be any recusals or abstentions on this. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, minutes from May 19th, 2021 approved. And our final set of minutes for tonight, which is of the June 16th, 2021 meeting. And we can have that open as necessary. This is a part of our discussion of the Hessian House, as well as the application, which we includes also the resolution here. So David, I don't know if you had taken a moment or have seen if the resolution that is pages 4 through 8 and 3 through 8 in this set of minutes captures the comments that you want, or if you just want to take a moment to just scan and confirm that you're satisfied, or if you had any comments regarding it. In the meantime, do anybody else have any comments with regards to the minutes of 6/16? Okay, great. Anybody else? I guess, David, I'll give you a chance to indicate your comfort or discomfort.
These are the meetings of June 16th.
The minutes of our June 16th meeting, which included the resolution. So, and Ed, I guess if you can confirm for myself and for David.
Yeah, I only see the resolution for the Canoe Brook Country Club in this.
I'm sorry, I thought that was the one you were referencing earlier.
No, it was more the
Oh, on
the minutes from the 85 Woodland Road meeting.
the 85 Woodland Road. I understand. Okay, apologies. That was my misunderstanding. Okay. I think that set of meeting minutes had both of the applications mentioned in it. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, and did anybody have any questions or revisions on these minutes? Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
David, I will second.
Pick one. Hold
Okay, thank you. Jorge, you can have it. That's okay. All in favor?
Aye.
on. Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
And an abstention from Ms. Miggins. Okay, minutes from June 16th, 2021 approved. Thank you. Okay, we have one other item on our agenda for this evening, if I'm correct. Yes, we have two, sorry. So we have the memorialization of application 21003. That's 275 Millburn Ave. As a reminder, that application is the footnotes retail with the proposed apartments above. Ed circulated those, I think, late Sunday. I looked at them Monday. So thank you for getting those out. Ed, I just had one minor comment. Oh, okay, go ahead, Jorge, you can begin.
No, Actually, it's just a question. And for example, in the condition of approval number 11, which is the applicant shall make every effort to obtain county approval to allow planting of a shade, blah, 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 blah. So who enforced that the applicant will make every effort to get this?
I'll try to answer that, and I'll defer to Eileen. With regard to any of these conditions, it's typically the secretary and the engineer, secretary of the board and the engineer, and there may be others who monitor whether resolution conditions have been satisfied. This one, is a little subjective in terms of best efforts, who makes that determination.
Yeah.
But that is what the board determined, and given the circumstances, it's probably the best we can do. So I would suppose if they went to the county and they produced some indication that the county said no, for example, and that was verified, that would be it.
So whoever goes at the end to get the CEO or whatever at the end, they will make sure that they have this letter from the county saying you couldn't do it, or yes, they're fine. That's what they are going to present.
That, or, I mean, I know Martha Callahan has, she has a lot of contact with the county. And so between Martha and me, I think if we were unsure that the applicant, if we didn't have anything, we certainly could reach out to them and find out if they were contacted, if they were approached about it, and what their feeling was about it. Certainly.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks. So Ed, I have two minor comments. Oh, sorry, somebody else. Was that Maggie?
No, Beth, I just wanted to go back to 519's minutes. I double checked that had to do with the B3 zone, correct?
Yes, that was the discussion. Oh, so you had to recuse yourself from it?
That's an abstention. All those minutes this week, unfortunately, I'm an abstention on. I apologize about that.
Okay, thank you for the correction. We'll note that on the record, Maggie has
Thank you.
recused or abstained from voting on all minutes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
From tonight's meeting. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, great. Ed, just two really little things. One, number 12, like where it begins, which is it's within my line 239. I think it's supposed to start on a new line with an indent like all the other numbers do. It kind of just got mushed into the same paragraph there. So I had to go hunt for it. It's there. It's just, I think, pressing enter. Truly minor. And then the other comment I had was on line 52, which was on the second page. You described surrounding zoning uses, and at the end of, like, in the whereas that has numbers. So number 1, I don't know if you have it in front of you, but it says adjoining use. The final sentence in number 1 says adjoining uses are largely commercial in nature, and buildings are typically 1 to 2 stories. But one of the adjoining uses is mixed use in nature. That's the new building that's gone up at the old IHOP. So I would rather either it say, I don't know, I just don't think that is an accurate description of the adjoining uses. I would say mixed use in nature, or commercial and residential in nature. I don't know how you want to say it, or maybe just delete that line, but I just, unless somebody has an elegant revision.
Well, what I think maybe what we can say is adjoining uses are solely commercial or mixed use in nature.
Sure.
How's that?
Sure.
Okay.
Fine. Thank you.
There's one other thing, Madam Chair, if you're finished with one of the comments you have. The township is considering, or will be considering, I believe, at some time in the near future, a development fee ordinance. Development fee ordinance is an ordinance that imposes a fee on residential and non-residential, on residential development. Non-residential development already pays a fee because it's a state statutory non-residential development fee. The township is considering adopting an ordinance that would create a residential development fee. And it would be 1.5% of the equalized assessed valuation of improvements or new structures or whatever. What I'd like to do is add another condition here as probably number 16, and then renumber 16 and 17 to 17 and 18. That would be to the effect that the developer shall be required to remit any developer fee imposed by the township in accordance with law or something like that. That latter, in accordance with law provision, I propose be put in there because there's some question as to whether or not the fee can become applicable to applications that have already been approved by the board, but yet not started. Construction hasn't commenced. Typically, the developer fee is payable upon, half of it's payable upon the issuance of a building permit, and the other half is payable at the issuance of the CO. So there are some questions about it, and I haven't, and it may not even be my call, it may be the township attorney's call, but I think it would not hurt to include such a provision, and again, with the caveat that, as permitted by law or that kind of limitation.
Okay, I see Mr. Bear has a comment. Go ahead, Dan.
So Ed, could you elaborate on that developer fee? Does the developer fee go directly into the general fund, or does the developer fee go into an independent utility fund that funds something else? What is the intent of this developer fee? Or maybe Maggie can answer that, or Eileen.
I'll give it a shot. The developer fee is essentially a fee in lieu of providing an affordable housing component to any residential development.
Okay.
Under the development fee ordinance, both under the state statute, all non-residential development fee that takes place has to pay the fee. If the municipality does not have a development fee ordinance, which right now Millburn does not,
Right.
that fee, the non-residential fee, goes to the state and is put in an affordable housing trust fund. If the township adopts an ordinance, both the residential and non-residential fee will be diverted to the township affordable housing trust fund, and that can be utilized to advance affordable housing within the township.
So in essence, the township would set up an independent, a utility for affordable housing. So all the money would go into that utility and would be used for affordable housing purposes in the future.
That's correct. And it's probably not a utility, but the concept is the same.
It's a line item in the budget or whatever they do. Okay.
And it would be constrained to that use. It couldn't be diverted.
Right. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Ed, I think I think I would be comfortable including it. I'm not sure if they might argue it, saying, at the time that we made the application, this didn't exist and we weren't aware of it. But if I understood what you just said correctly, it's that they would have to pay this 1.5%. It would, but if not to Millburn, then to the state. Did I understand that?
Right now, even without an ordinance, every municipality in the state is covered by a statewide non-residential development fee. And if the municipality has its own development fee ordinance, that non-residential fee is put in the municipality's coffers, again, segregated for affordable housing purposes. If the municipality does not have its own development fee ordinance that really covers residential, then it goes to the state. So all non-residential development in Millburn has paid a fee, and it hasn't gone to the township, it's gone to the state. The ordinance that the township will likely be considering will impose that fee on residential development. And by doing that, it will also be able to gather new non-residential fees, which won't go to the state anymore. It'll go to the municipality. So the municipality gets the benefit of both.
Understood.
But,
Thank you.
I may make that argument, and that's why I wanted to keep the caveat in there in accordance with law as required by law, some such thing, because I don't want to pass up the opportunity by anyone saying, well, it's not a condition in the resolution. Whether it can be ultimately imposed,
Enforced. Mhm.
that's another issue, and we'll deal with that down the road.
Great. I know, I appreciate you looking out for the township in that regard. Yeah, and I think it is possible it may or may not be permitted, but we'll sort of cross that bridge. At least we've done our due diligence of acknowledging it may be there. Okay. Anybody else have comments on that? Gaston, did you? No.
Not on that, but on a different subject, yeah.
Great. Go for it. Go ahead.
Oh,
Yep. Gaston.
okay, no, it was just in reference to the item that Jorge had mentioned before. I guess I have a sensitivity to the word hedges in there. The planters with the tree is okay, hedges. I think we had used the word screening before, and my sensitivity comes with pedestrian safety. I just don't want this row of hedges that's 4 feet tall that goes up to the driveway. So if we could word that.
Great. Can you just direct us to a line or a page or a section?
I'm looking at it on my phone.
Oh, hedges. Okay, I see 292. It says the applicant shall make every effort to obtain county approval to allow for the planting of a shade tree and or hedges in the parking lot along Essex Street. So you would prefer, instead of hedges, it to say plantings?
Your plantings or screening, I think, was what Jorge had
Screening,
originally used. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, you have that, Ed?
I do.
Great. Thank you. Other comments? Number 12, Ed, says there shall be no storage of any item on the balconies. Now, if people have furniture that is like balcony furniture, it sort of lives there. You know, I guess that just sort of seems problematic.
Well, it's funny that you say that. I thought about that when we wrote it, and I rationalized it in my mind that the word storage was the key. That
Okay.
Patio furniture, chairs, tables, and so forth that you use on a balcony, you're not storing them there, you're using them there. But a bicycle, a clothes rack, a beach umbrella, or a tricycle, or any of those things you don't use on a balcony. So again, there's a certain amount of ambiguity in that, but I think common sense will prevail.
Okay, that's a good clarification. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, that's fine. And I believe that was what was discussed. And I do remember we used the word storage, but just seeing it as one sentence, it looked a little.
Well, my concern is that if we say there shall be no storage of any item on residential balconies, we could say such as, bicycles, but then you always run into, okay.
It didn't say it, yeah.
If you say except for, patio furniture, and then somebody puts something else there that is commonly used on a balcony, but I didn't mention it in the exception, right. We have the same issue. So I figured we'll just leave it the way it is, and hopefully rational minds will prevail. That's
fine. And then just to confirm, Eileen, grills would not be permitted, right? Because which is prevailing zoning.
That's fire law. They're just
yeah. Right. So it's not called out here specifically because that is the law in Millburn. Okay. Thank you for confirming. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Comments or questions?
Okay.
Okay. Eileen, would you mind reminding us who voted in favor of this application, so who can vote on the resolution?
Eligible to vote are Daniel Baer, Jorge, David Morrow, Miriam Salerno, and Beth Zoll.
Okay. And I think only 4 of the 5 of us are here. Any of us want to make a motion to approve this resolution, given the edits as discussed during this meeting?
I'll move the resolution with respect to the edits made tonight.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Before we vote, I have a list here. And did you have 5 people?
The 5th was Miriam, but she's not in attendance tonight.
And I had 6 people. I had,
Yeah, I voted.
Oh, Mark, okay.
yeah,
Mark voted yes as well.
marked down as a yes.
Okay, hold on a second.
No, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I had marked down as a no.
Yes,
I had Srini, David,
Gaston, Mark, Maggie, Joe as no's.
Okay, yeah.
So, okay.
But, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
there were 6. I have Srini, David.
He didn't vote. He didn't vote on this. He didn't vote on this because he wasn't.
Didn't vote on it?
I had 9 voters.
Oh, it's 5-4.
It was fine.
5-4.
I was present, but I didn't
5-4.
vote. Yeah.
Right. 5-4, and the 5 affirmatives were Dan, Jorge, David, Miriam, and Beth. And the negatives were Gaston, Mark, Maggie, and Joe. Srini didn't vote on this because he would have been the 10th vote. We only need 9. We only take 9.
Okay. I got it.
Mhm. Okay. Are you okay if we vote now, Ed?
Yes, I'm sorry. I
No,
just-
no, no, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, go ahead, Eileen.
Daniel Bear,
Yes.
Jorge Mastro Pietro,
Yes.
David Morrow,
Yes,
that's all.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Oh, Gaston. Okay, you're both in the waiting room and in here. I don't know what
I don't know
happened.
why.
Okay,
I noticed that too. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I'm having computer trouble, so I have 2 open.
okay. Well, you're here, so thank you. Okay, sorry about that. I just got confused. So matter, application 21003's resolution is approved. Thank you. We have it's 7:57, so we have 3 minutes according to Eileen. Just kidding. Ed, if you're comfortable with it, I would turn to you to open the discussion that we have as business, which is listed a little bit ambiguously as rules of procedure, and open up opportunity for some discussion tonight.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A resident raised some questions regarding procedure of the board, and I spoke to Eileen about this, and we decided that it would be appropriate for the board to discuss these issues, or at least be aware that the issues were raised and make any comments that they have. One of the issues is clearly a policy issue for the board. The other 2 I'd like to weigh in on because I think there's some legal ramifications on them. The first one relates to the 3 minutes that we had established particularly in the 85 Woodland Road application, due to the large number, 3 to 5 minutes, due to the large number of people that were present during those hearings, and to provide an opportunity for everybody to speak. The comment was essentially that they'd like more than 3 to 5 minutes to make comments. So that's a policy decision that the board, I think, made during the course of that application. I pass it back to you, Madam.
Yeah, thank you, and I appreciate that. So, I mean, I would slightly alter what Ed said because it was a policy decision that I would say I made on behalf of the board, but that I think it's a healthy exercise to open it up to board discussion. And before I do that, I would just quickly say, I gave it a lot of thought in terms of what would be appropriate, how would we accommodate allowing our residents to speak, which is their right, but also understanding that if we had 50 to 60 or even more members of the public come and speak, to allow them each 3 minutes of time, and then the in between with the Zoom, that that was ours, and that which is indeed what did happen. I think I also looked at precedents. We saw some municipalities within New Jersey allowing as little as 1 minute for public comments in some instances on hearings. But we I thought what would be good for the planning board was to keep consistent with what happens at RTC. As you know, Maggie well knows, that's a 3-minute time limit, which I would say they held very tightly, you know, with a physical timer, you know, and that's just that's the policy and that's the procedure. I think what we ended up experiencing, if I'm correct, was you know, telling people when they're running out of time, and if someone was, you know, kind of midstream and mid-thought, you know, I was allowing them generally to finish their thought. So it was not as harsh as, you know, please stop speaking and you're done. But that was the thought, just keeping it to 3 minutes, because it seemed like a common sense bracket of time. And I really do feel that if somebody has something to say and feels passionate and they prepared it and wrote it down, I think anybody can make their point within, you know, 180 seconds. I think that is a sufficient amount of time. So hopefully that was less than 3 minutes and I made my point, but welcome that for discussion among everybody else, or, you know, feedback.
You know, I'll just chime in here. I thought chairperson did a great job at the Woodland meeting. I think there was more than sufficient time given to everybody, given the number of people there, and these meetings can go out of control. And I think, you know, there's a thin line that the board has to walk. And I thought that everybody got not only opportunity that particular meeting, but in every other meeting for Woodland to express their views. So, I mean, you know, I think this limit that was set was appropriate.
Thank you, Srini.
I agree totally with that. I think you were more than accommodating with people continuing to, you know, finish their thoughts. And in fact, you know, a number of people were saying redundant things, but still you allowed them to complete their thoughts. And I think having 3 minutes, which is consistent with the township committee, is a good policy, frankly.
Yeah, thanks, David. Okay, Mark, I see your hand is raised.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm, you know, related to the, you know, the time allocations. I know the city of New York uses a 2-minute rule. State of Alaska, city borough of Juneau is a 2-minute rule. And I, quite frankly, we had this discussion once. I quite frankly like what you've done. If you have a if you have a member of the community that's gone to like 4 meetings and they haven't had the opportunity to ask questions because of time limitations, you've shown discretion to allow them to go a little more. And I think that's fine. You know, in those instances, if there are 50 people queued up to speak, it should be 2 to 3 minutes. And I'm comfortable with that.
Thank you. Okay. So, and I don't believe, Ed, that we need to take a vote or take any action. This was just a discussion. It seems from the few of you who have commented that there is consensus that, you know, this 3 minutes, a time limit works as appropriate. I think when we're anticipating or we can, you know, see in the case of either a physical in-person meeting, how many people are in the room or are online. Because yes, typically we aren't limiting it. And in questions, obviously we don't limit that. So I think, you know, as you were speaking to, Mark, when people have to attend multiple meetings to get to their turn, they're allowed to ask questions until they feel that they're responded to. Okay, so I think I'm comfortable at sticking with our 3-minute limit as we see fit, and announcing such at the beginning of the meeting, which was certainly my plan. I announced at the beginning, and then I think I announced it again as we got to the comment section, which might have been an hour or two after we started.
Madam Chair, the second item, not necessarily in any order, involves a request that witnesses that are under oath be prevented from using their cell phones to receive communications while testifying. Now, that has some legal implications that I'd like to explain to the board. First of all, the cell phone issue is one that occurs during these Zoom meetings. I don't think we've ever experienced someone who's testifying pulling out their cell phone and texting to someone else. But we have seen that particularly in the more complicated applications where somebody is trying to get to someone else. I think that the request derives from the judicial system, where witnesses that are on a stand and under oath are unable to communicate with their attorney, to communicate with anybody else in the courtroom. Attorneys can't be signaling their witness by nodding their heads or frowning or somehow influencing what the answers to questions may be, nor can anyone else in the courtroom. A planning board hearing or a board of adjustment hearing is a different animal. It's not a judicial proceeding. It's a quasi-judicial proceeding. And the board will recollect that when we have in-person meetings, many times a witness, be it an engineer or a planner or even a fact witness, will not know the answer to a question, some particular item, and say, just give me a minute, and they'll turn to someone else on their team, whether it be an owner or another developer representative, and get information, and then get back to the board and answer the question because they were unaware of it. That's the typical way in which these proceedings occur. And I think from the board's perspective, we're trying to get answers to questions typically in those kinds of situations. And as you will know, or as you will remember, at the end of our resolutions, every resolution that we do for the board, there's a specific provision that incorporates all of the representations that were made to the board by the professionals or witnesses of the applicant, that they were relied upon by the board and they are binding on the applicant. So I think between that language that we put in the resolutions and the fact that we're trying to get information, having a witness, when we're doing these virtually, having a witness communicate with someone else, whoever that may be, during the course of the proceeding, is no detriment at all to the board. And I think, I dare say, creates in many cases a better situation. So I will stop at that point. And I'll pass it, Madam Chair, back to you if there's any further discussion about that issue.
Thanks. Yeah, the only thing further I wanted to add before opening it up is that I do think, as I acknowledged in our July meeting, June was a learning lesson. And by July, I think we came out and said, we've learned, we're going to do better ourselves as the board. But yes, just like if we were in person, or just like we take, the applicant may say, can we just have a 5-minute recess to confer and chat? I want to make sure my client is comfortable if I'm going to make a concession or XYZ. In today's climate, they would then probably just jump on the phone or text each other or whatever. In another, world, they would just speak to each other. So I don't think there's any need to forbid or prohibit texts or chats happening. But that said, our laws that we're governed by, among planning board members, we are not sending text messages to one another, to anybody, to members of the public. So I think we've understood that that is our ethical obligation. But if anybody has other thoughts or items to add, but I guess my take is I don't think we need to take action based on what you summarized, Ed, and provided. No, general. Everyone's in agreement relatively with what I'm saying. Okay.
It's like one of these, consistency determinations that the board makes. It's not inconsistent. So if no one says anything, I guess that's.
I suppose nobody feels that has anything to say that's inconsistent with my thoughts. Okay, but thank you. No, I appreciate the discussion. And then there was one last.
The last one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mark has his hand raised. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the place to bring it up, but several of the boards that I've served on in my lifetime, we've had retreats. with the board, and the public is invited to attend them to just discuss priority, and it's not meant to be onerous. It's meant to drink beer and discuss real issues. And, I know that we hear constantly, is it consistent with the master plan? Is it consistent with the ordinances? A question that I have is that when a board member abstains, and it's not for the purpose of a conflict of interest, I'm still unclear what that means. Are they against what they heard? Was it incomplete information? I mean, from my perspective, on the number of abstentions that I've seen on issues that have drawn out for a number of months, I just don't understand the purpose of abstaining. I don't know the statement that you're making. You're unhappy with it? I mean, I just don't know. And those kinds of clarifications might be very helpful. But it's not meant to be like a 12-hour, it's supposed to be collegial, and you invite the general public, so it's legal. And I've always found that to be very useful, and it helps to reinvigorate or invigorate a board. Just a thought.
I appreciate that. I'm not aware of it, and I think I'm going to do a little bit of research and look into it. I really like that suggestion. Whether it's thinking about how to kick off a new year or prioritize or focus, kind of an end of the year of thinking through, kind of what went well and what could be improved. So thank you for bringing that up, Mark. I haven't done one of those, so I appreciate that. Okay, thanks. And Ed, your final item.
Yes, the last item is a request or a suggestion that the board allow interested residents to review and comment on draft resolutions before they are presented to the board. My reaction to that is that the board has a duty, a legal duty, to hear applications, make determinations on applications, and to adopt resolutions. The general public has the opportunity to ask their questions, make their comments, and that's really it. There's no process under the MLUL where the public then gets to effectively draft the resolution or make comments on the resolution. And I think that you could imagine in particularly more controversial kinds of applications, that would become, I think, a situation that will become unmanageable. And it's simply not appropriate. It's the board would then be effectively delegating their responsibilities and their obligations to non-appointed officials to craft or generate provisions in a resolution. That is not the public's right to do that. Public has, an interested party has a problem with a resolution. They have judicial remedies if they want to challenge it, but I don't think it's appropriate at all under the MLUL to have members of the general public effectively do what you do when you review these resolutions and make comments. I'll pass it back to you, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. I agree with what you said. I also don't feel that members of the public should be reviewing resolutions and providing comments when that is our responsibility as the board. Mr. Bear.
Just a quick question. Was the question of the comment to review resolutions or review applications? Was my understanding was to review applications before they come to the board.
No, this comment was specifically on resolutions.
Was resolution? Okay, thank you very much.
Did you have a different position on that, Dan, or?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I agree with Ken. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Ed. I think you're both your legal perspective from the position of what the MLUL says, as well as the sort of perspective of what it's giving citizens, those who are not serving on the board but interested or unclear what their specific interests are, potentially the opportunity to revise things that are at our discretion, not theirs. So I'm in agreement with your assessment on that, but thank you for framing that for us.
Well, you're welcome. And I apologize to the board and to Eileen in particular, because she thought we were going to be done here at 8 o'clock and it's now 8:15.
Not too bad.
Yeah, so.
Okay, my granddaughters haven't revolted yet, so we're still okay.
Excellent. So thank you all for allowing us to, bring up that new business. I think it's always helpful and healthy. Thank you, Mark, for your suggestion of, considering a retreat. I'm going to take that and consider it. This is, and maybe having a sort of forum and opportunity, because we don't speak to each other outside of applications or outside of our meetings. I know, one item, Jorge, probably that's in the back of your mind that you had asked about was making everything all electronic and not requiring paper. I know there's been a few sort of one-off questions here and there. So I might, kind of go through my notes and see, maybe coordinate with Eileen and figure out how we might want to think about, scheduling kind of a working session of some variety. So thank you all. And with that said,
Just a reminder that this is our last virtual meeting. We are back on site in September, so.
thank you, Eileen. That is as of now with no, and as of now, has the rule changed within town hall that masks are required?
Masks are not required in town hall. There's encouraged, but they're not required.
Okay, as of now, but that is all, I think, subject to change. Okay, thank you for clarifying. And that also will be noted in the public notice, right? That it will be an in-person?
I've already put it on the website and I've already sent it to the newspapers to be
Great.
published that are, the meetings have been transferred back to on-site meetings.
Wonderful. And our next meeting is?
September 22nd.
September. Oh, it's right. It's later due to the
Yeah, I think
the holidays.
holiday, and I think there was a Jewish holiday in September 1st. I don't know. For some reason, we did it on the 22nd.
Great. And as of now, do we have application for that one? A complete with two. Okay, great. Thank you. And Mark, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, I mean, several states now, or several common sense states are basically mandating masks again. And I just think that I won't go anywhere without a mask. So that may be something for the township committee or the governor, but I'm not comfortable walking around without a mask, let alone other people that may be maskless. And I assume that being in city, in the town hall would require masks if it were public, because this thing is, as we well know, is unresolved.
This thing being the pandemic.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Sorry. It's a lot of unresolved things. Yeah. Because I will myself be wearing a mask. I generally am wearing masks in building, but because we cannot mandate anybody or require them, you and I, Mark, can't. I think we can just encourage it and lead by example. But I appreciate your perspective. Go ahead, Dan.
And I agree with Mark. Let's recognize the fact that we have 9 members.
Yeah.
And the township committee has 5. They are separated.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking for those who may be concerned about that, we will have 9 people behind the dais there. So without protection. So I'll leave that to the township and the township committee to make decisions. We have a month. We'll see how things go, but we'll see how that goes.
Thank you. Yeah, Jorge, go ahead.
No, yeah, I have the same concern because there is no mandate for vaccine, right? We don't have to show proof of vaccine. Yeah, I don't feel comfortable sitting with people that I don't know if they are vaccinated without a mask. So I will be wearing my mask.
Excellent. Thank you. And Eileen, how would we, can I, as the planning board chair, reach out to our TC? I can reach out myself and share our concerns.
I think you could reach out to the TC or the business administrator, Alex McDonald, and, express your concerns. I'm following what I was told to follow up. So,
yep.
I agree. I mean, I've been vaccinated, but I'm still not comfortable being around a lot of people. And I agree with Dan, the township committee has 5 people. We have 9 people that are crowding at a So it is a little bit different, but I think, you know,
Yeah, well, we have 9 people plus Ed, plus Eric, plus you. Yeah, yeah, and Nicole, if you're with
we're
us.
tight,
Yep.
packed in there, so.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, I will follow up, and it will be communicated then via Eileen if anything changes.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, that said, thank you all for the discussion tonight. Appreciate it. Do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I made a
Motion.
motion. I
And
second that.
Thank you. Before we adjourn, though, I apologize. Mark's hand is up and I did not see it. Mark, did you have something? And I'm sorry to hold us.
No, that's to just adjourn.
Okay. Motion seconded. We can adjourn. Thank you all. Have a good evening. We'll see you September 22.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye, good
Night.
night.